The life of the eldest son of Sparta has led him down a dark path. A Darkslayer who's embraced his demonic heritage and forsaken his humanity for more power, no matter the cost. His legacy is one of pain, suffering, and loneliness. He even forsaken his own family in his desperate bid for claiming what he perceived was his birthright. He'd been taken control of, literally split himself into two beings, and finally has become one again. This is an EDH deck about Virgil, the son of Sparta. Hello everyone, it's Cole from the Uncommon Commander podcast, where myself and other guests talk about uncommon legends we love to run as our commanders. You can find episodes of the podcast on Anchor, Spotify, Apple, and many other podcast sources. And I'm on Twitter at Eclipse Meteor. Hey, so Crow, how did this whole thing come about?
Well, Cole, glad you asked. You see, I'm a huge fan of Devil May Cry. So when friend of the channel Carter approached me and offered to fully proxy out, yes, in this house we fully support proxies, a deck, I couldn't help but take them up on the offer. So I scoured all my interests ranging from Persona to Trails of Cold Steel, till finally, I came to my natural conclusion. Devil May Cry. So that's when I put out the beacon for a Virgil-themed commander deck, and holy shit! Did Cole deliver on an absolutely savage deck. Speaking of the deck, who do we have as the commander?
Representing Virgil is Neon Dynasty's Mardu-colored samurai, Isshin 2 heavens as one. He's a character who's forsaken his original duty for his own path that he felt was correct, and despite Virgil's icy and blue exterior, he's a character who focuses on himself, revels in combat, contains a fierce pride, and has a sense of honor, which is why I thought the three colors of red, white, and black fit him suitably. I feel the legend and deck are a faithful representation of Virgil's journey, his style, and more importantly, his motivation. his motivation as he combats his way through the demon armies of hell. We'll be combining mechanics and functionality with some flair and flavor to make a deck that plays and feels like Devil May Cry combat. The goal of the deck is simple. Using equipment and auras, extra combat steps, Double Strike, and Exalted, we will turn Isshin into a one-man army to take down our foes on our quest for power. To start, the cards that are acting as tie-ins to Virgil's story. I'm treating Ryu, Storm's Edge, as Virgil's doppelganger, a way to double up on combat the way his doppelganger follows his own movements as he fights. Nephrox, Overlord of Grixis, represents Mundus, a demon lord that was Sparta's nemesis and had brainwashed Virgil in his young adult years. Sublime Archangel will be representing his mother Ava, who had died in his youth and is one of his motivations of power. The Knights of Glory and Infamy represent the Angelos, demonic armors that he once adorned when he was mind-controlled, and were there again mocking his human half that he had split from himself. Speaking of halves, Gisela the Broken Blade and Bruna the Fading Light are here as Virgil's split human and demon halves. But yes, they are functionally angels themselves, I know. The Mysterious V and Urizen the Demon King combine to become Virgil Reborn, or in this case, Brizella Voice of Nightmares, acting as the apex of power and disruption of our opponents. For Virgil's demonic powers, known as Devil Trigger, we have 3 cards here that, when attached, transform their host into a demon themselves. We got the 3 here: Blade of the Oni, Demonic Embrace, and Inner Demon. These cards are methods of strengthening your commander to become stronger and harder to block. In tandem with his Devil Trigger, we have his normal armaments he uses for combat: Yamato, Beowulf, and Force Edge. Tatsumasa, the Dragon's Fang, is his Yamato, a sword that splits dimensions and demons in two. Swiftfoot Boots and Brass Knuckles for his Beowulf, and Black Blade Reforged, representing his father's sword, the Force Edge. Using all of these in tandem is what makes Isshin a big threat for the table. Virgil's life has been full of resurrections and supposed deaths. We're going to be using 3 sagas to represent the several times he's died and been returned to life. Carter's vicious return represents his initial resurrection for his brother Dante, as the armored and antagonistic Nello Angelo. Elspeth Conqueror's death represents his weakened return from the underworld after his brother defeated Mundus. And finally, the eldest reborn to show his final resurrection after being split in 2. For other resurrection spells, we also pack Dread Return, Defy Death, and Call of the Death Dweller for some other interactions with Isshin and other creatures on the list, namely Gisela and Bruna. And finally, to wrap everything up, we got finishers and haymakers that will represent moves that Virgil had used in Devil May Cry 5. And let me tell you, these things are sights to behold. To start with Virgil's most iconic attack, Judgment Cut End. An attack that obliterates the immediate area, with Virgil slashing so quickly, all are cut by his blade and he remains untouchable. Akroma's will be representing his untouchable nature and numerous blows as he destroys everything in his immediate path. Akroma's will is also just a fantastic finisher in general. To represent a technique he uses with the Force Edge in the game, we're going to be using Savage Beating to represent Deep Stinger, a technique where he puts his all into his attack and spins like a tornado right into enemies. Savage Beating will have the dual purpose of giving our table double strike, enabling additional combats, and can also be entwined to enable both, leading to a clean finish. And finally, to represent Beowulf's final attack, Hell on Earth, we're going to be using Chandra's Ignition, converting Isshin's increased and enhanced power to damage all other creatures and our opponents, which is a fantastic way to really get the damage going before combat. Of course, all of these discussed cards are just the meat of the deck itself. The list contains additional pieces and components that will allow Isshin to become a one-man army, with some backups in the event of his inevitable deaths. Ugh. You know, the more that I think about it, EDH is pretty messed up. But anyway, hey, that is the deck. Crow, what do you think?
Motivation.
Crow?
Power.
Well, I guess that performance was a bit much. Probably overloaded his brain. Guess I could take this opportunity to take over the channel.
I need it.
Wait, what? Need the deck?
I need all of it. I need more power.
Okay, alright. You're starting to sound a little bit too much like Virgil. But I mean, hey, that's the point of the deck. The link to the Maxfield list is below. Hopefully you can bury the light in the eyes of your opponents with this list. That's a music pun. And with that being said, I hope you've enjoyed this ramble of game lore and deck building method, and hopefully it's engaged your interest in both franchises. You hear much more unstructured and loose discussions of mechanics and characters over in my podcast. It's the Uncommon Commander Podcast. My guests are fantastic, and the discussions are fun and tend to be over an hour long, so please go check that out. Now, fluck off, Featherfaces. Sweet dreams.
I want to take a second and thank Cole for his participation and really inception of this video. Him and I both worked really hard trying to create an experience that everyone could possibly enjoy, whether you're a Devil May Cry fan or a Magic the Gathering player. This video is a love letter for 2 fandoms coming into one. So if you haven't already, check out his podcast. Who knows? Maybe you'll even see a friendly face. And once again, thank you for watching this video. If you like what we're doing, consider subscribing, leaving a like, or letting us know what kind of deck you'd want to go ahead and proxy out. It could be anime, film, or video game. The possibilities are endless. And like I said before, we completely support that type of mindset within COA. At any rate, everyone, I've been me, you've been you. Stay classy, Planeswalkers of the Multiverse. We'll see you in your next upkeep. Peace.
Don't you dare say it. Jackpot.